What if I told you the person you think you are right now isn't actually you? That the way you talk to yourself, the way you react when you're hurt, the people you're drawn to, and even the voice in your head that tells you you're not enough, didn't come from you, not the conscious you. What if I told you that 95% of your choices, your desires, down to the way you fall in love or sabotage success, all come from a part of your mind you've never met? A place hidden beneath logic, beneath willpower, a place silent, ancient, emotional, and immensely powerful. That place is your subconscious mind. And if you leave now, without understanding how it truly works, your life will continue to be shaped and limited by a script you didn't write. But if you study, you'll uncover the closest thing psychology has to a modern-day form of alchemy, the ability to rewrite pain, rewire identity, and reclaim your life. This isn't some motivational fluff. This is the real reason you keep repeating lessons you didn't ask for. This is why you chase things that never fulfill you, why happiness feels temporary, why sabotage feels inevitable. But more importantly, this is your way out of it. So stay. Let's start with a story. A young boy, maybe 6, hides in his room as screaming echoes through the house. His father is furious. His mother is crying. Nobody explains what's going on, but the child's nervous system remembers. He makes a silent vow. I won't be weak. I won't need anything. I'll always be in control. That boy grows into a man, strong, successful, ambitious, and completely unable to feel intimacy. Every time someone gets too close, he shuts down, and he doesn't understand why. But you might, because something happened in that childhood moment, something deeper than memory. A subconscious decision was made. A belief took root. Love is dangerous. Vulnerability is weakness. Closeness leads to chaos. And beliefs like that don't just disappear because you learned better. They linger underneath awareness, silently dictating how you see the world. Carl Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." And that is the terrifying part. Most of what you think is your personality is just a mixture of adaptations, repressed emotions, and unconscious agreements made before you even knew what the world was. You weren't born anxious. You weren't born disconnected. You weren't born doubting yourself. You learned that, and your subconscious remembered. It remembers far more than your conscious mind ever will. But unlike your logical mind, it doesn't evolve based on facts, only patterns. Do you ever wonder why you keep attracting the same type of partner? Why you panic when someone pulls away? Or why it's so hard to celebrate your own wins without feeling like a fraud? It's because somewhere deep inside, your subconscious is running off of a script written by emotions you never gave permission to. Pain that's been unprocessed. Love that was conditional. Attention that was inconsistent. In those early years when your brain was still wiring pathways and emotional associations, your subconscious was recording everything. Not just what people said, but what they really meant. The tone behind the words, the silence, the withdrawal of affection, every missed birthday, every time you felt invisible or too much. These moments didn't fade. They formed patterns, rules, narratives. Things like, I must achieve to be loved. People leave when I'm honest, or I'm safest when I pretend everything's fine. These beliefs hide under your surface, directing your decisions without your awareness. That's why surface-level fixes don't work. You can set goals, use affirmations, even try to change your habits. But if your subconscious is still holding on to an opposite belief, it will pull you back. It always wins, because it's older, it's faster, and it's stronger. Your conscious mind is the tip of the iceberg. Your subconscious is everything below the water. You can't beat it, but you can reprogram it. First, you need to understand how it works. Sigmund Freud, who first introduced the idea of the unconscious, described it as a locked basement filled with thoughts and desires too dangerous for everyday awareness. But Carl Jung took that idea further. He believed the subconscious wasn't just a hiding place for shame. It was a deep well of wisdom and power. He called it the shadow. But unlike how we think of shadows, it isn't evil. It's just unacknowledged. It contains every part of you that you had to cut off in order to fit in, to be safe, to be loved. The anger you weren't allowed to express, the tears you had to swallow, the boundaries you were never taught, the truth you were too afraid to speak. These were not erased, only buried. And yet, they still live in you, projecting themselves into your relationships, your insecurities, your triggers. That's why healing often looks like revisiting the very things you tried to forget. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like you were living someone else's life? Like you're playing a role, always performing, never really being? Your subconscious isn't just filled with pain, it's also filled with personas, masks, roles, the people pleaser, the perfectionist, the overachiever, the silent one. You didn't choose these. They protected you. They helped you navigate a world where being yourself wasn't safe. But what protected you then may be stunting you now. Viktor Frankl, a survivor of the Holocaust and brilliant psychiatrist, said, "Between stimulus and response there is a space. In that space is our power to choose. And your subconscious mind? That's where the space is smallest, until it's not. When you bring awareness to your reactions, you stretch that space. When you trace anxiety back to its origin, you reclaim choice. When you catch yourself repeating a pattern and ask, what belief is this coming from? You begin to wake up. The truth is, your subconscious mind speaks in a different language. Not words, emotions, patterns, dreams, symbols, repetition. That's why certain stories appear in your life over and over again, until you finally listen. Every time you feel abandoned, you're being invited to confront the original wound. Every time you fail right when things start going well, you're brushing up against an inner belief about what you deserve. Every conflict, every trigger, every repeated loss is not bad luck, it's a GPS. Until we learn to interpret what it's saying, we stay stuck. But when we do, everything changes. You begin to realize the people who hurt you weren't evil. They were unconscious. You begin to unlearn the belief that your worth is based on your performance. You discover the original self, the one untouched by trauma, whole, intuitive, free. Erich Fromm once said, "The task we must set for ourselves is not to feel secure, but to be able to tolerate insecurity." And that is perhaps the reason many people never face the subconscious. It's terrifying. It's uncertain. It asks you to feel what you've avoided for decades. But beyond that discomfort is your access point to becoming the most authentic, powerful version of yourself. Because unlike what society tells you, healing is not about going back to who you were. It's about meeting the parts of yourself you had to abandon to survive. It's about seeing that your addictions, your anxiety, your patterns of avoidance, they all make sense when you understand the emotional logic behind them. That overeating, that need for validation, that obsession with control, none of them make you broken. They make you brilliant. Your mind found ways to adapt. Your subconscious made deals with pain in exchange for belonging, for love, for safety. That's not pathology. That's poetry. You survived by becoming exactly what your environment demanded. But now, maybe you're safe enough to be something else. The question is, are you willing to go back for the parts of you that were left behind? Are you willing to meet the version of you that was silenced, shamed, or shaped to fit other people's comfort? Because that's where your real power is. Not just in healing wounds, but in reclaiming the gold they were hiding. Your subconscious is not your enemy. It's your misunderstood protector. It doesn't evolve quickly. It evolves through repetition, through gentle reparenting, through new experiences that teach it. I don't have to live in fear anymore. And that's the path forward. Start by slowing down. Listen to your reactions. Observe your dreams. Ask your fear what it's actually afraid of. Journal, meditate, speak affirmations not just with your mouth but from your body. Embody safety, practice presence, speak truth. Do the things your younger self never had the tools to do. Because belief by belief, you can rewire your subconscious. Bit by bit, you can turn triggers into teachers, pain into power, shame into sovereignty. Little by little, the patterns that used to run your life begin to dissolve. And what's left is you, the real you. Underneath all the noise, the one who doesn't need to prove their worth, the one who allows love without fear, the one who isn't driven by scarcity or survival, but by purpose. When you align your conscious mind with your subconscious, you become unstoppable. Life no longer pushes you around. You begin to choose your reality, not react to it. And even in pain, you're awake, aware and whole. If you've made it this far, I want to know who truly understood the message. Leave the phrase, "I choose to rewire my mind," in the comments, and let's see how many of you really grasp what it means to take back your awareness and become the architect of your own life. If this video made you question something, if it made you see through the veil of conditioning or remember a part of yourself you once forgot, subscribe and stay with us. This is just the beginning. Jung, Freud, Maslow, and Adler, they didn't just study the mind so we could read quotes. They did it so we could finally come home. I'll see you in the next video. And remember, healing doesn't mean going back to who you were. It means arriving fully as who you are, for the very first time.